Hello and welcome everybody to TESOL International Conference and to this session entitled Teaching English Listening and Speaking Through Service Learning in Southern Thailand. And I'm very happy to hand over now to our two presenters, Monaliza and Titmonyneat. Please take it away.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. Yeah. Okay. So hi, I am Monaliza Mamac. You can call me Mona. And I'm a lecturer at Prince of Songkhla University. My co-presenter is Titmonyneat. She is my student, and it's her first time to present in an international conference. Yeah. So we will talk about how we use service learning in teaching English listening and speaking in one of the universities in Southern Thailand. So this is the flow of the presentation. So we'll talk about the background of the study, the context where we conducted it, design and frameworks, the sample project that she will present, and the final project that they did, and conclusions. So the basic premise of this research is the issues that Thailand ESL teaching is facing. So basically, the Thai ESL teaching is based on communicative language teaching, which is used because of its student-centeredness. And the Thai government is actually mandating the student-centered learning. However, in some contexts, like there are still a lot of problems in teaching, speaking, and listening in Thailand because of many factors. So the first one is the overall linguistic competence of the students. Another, some students lack the confidence in using the language, and in some schools, they still use the traditional teaching method, like the traditional grammar. And beyond that, there are some schools that do not have the classroom facilities and also the physical environment that is conducive to learning of the students. In case of university students or the tertiary education, students are more streamlined to their respective fields. So therefore, there's also an issue with regards to the materials that are used in communicative language teaching, because most of the texts there are everyday language. They are like hi, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. And like they are not really specific to the needs of the students in tertiary education. So therefore, we tried to use the service learning, a different type of approach, and we see how this is how effective is this. So basically, service learning involves the application of classroom learning to solve real-world problems in the communities, and it has been proven effective by a lot of research in ELT specifically because it provides reflection and spaces for real-world use of the language. So the study was conducted at the Prince of Songkhla University in Pattani, Thailand, which is the southern part of Thailand. It's all online under the speaking and listening skills subject. I had only 6 third-year students who are major in psychology, minor in English. Because the class is so small, so we had a lot of time in doing feedback and really developing their projects. So it was conducted within 6 weeks in one semester with 3 hours per week contact. The practical goal of this is to create a set of materials to address a local issue faced by their chosen community. And also it has to be psychology related. The linguistic goal is for them to present it in an international community in a form of oral report. And yeah, so this is the syllabus that I designed. Here, so you can see there are 3 colors in there. So first, because service learning is applying what they have learned, so therefore they need to learn something first. So the green one are the weeks where we focus on theory. So basically, teaching them how language is used in social context and how it's central to issues that they may encounter. The yellow one is how these theories can be used in practice in solving real world issues. And the blue ones are working on their individual projects. So these are three assessments: student participation, the artifacts of their projects, and the public launch or the oral presentation that they did. So these are the frameworks that we use. So it's an action research. So within the teaching, I taught them the credible project. So the credible project is a set of principles designed to carry out impactful projects that benefit communities. It's designed by Mahbub in 2019. So basically, it's an acronym. It's an acronym. It's a set of principles that we need to like hit for us to be able to know whether a project is really credible or not. So you can see here that it has to be contextually relevant, has to be localized, it has to engage the local people, the community. So we are not collecting data in here. They are not subjects, but they are actually the beneficiaries of the project. So because it's language based, the subject is language based, so we need to incorporate an analysis that is language based, and we use the positive discourse analysis. This is a complementary approach to critical discourse analysis. If you have heard of this before, it's coined by James Martin in 2004. Its goal is to make look at successful materials and successful practices and analyze them. What are the features that make them successful? And then we can use those features in our own campaigns or in our own practices. So there are two types of this. You can do this specifically or in broad. So specific is language oriented. It's very much into grammar. So the people who do this are linguists. Because my students are not linguists, they are future psychologists. So we use the broad um, positive discourse analysis. It is socio-semiotic focused, and it can be carried out by any person who doesn't have the necessarily the background in linguistics. So this is a form that Mahbub created for PDA. It's basically just looking at the background, like the information, basic information, but the analysis is centered in here. So this form, as you can see in the left column, it has the sight, sound, smell, touch, and taste. Because it's based on Mahbub's theory of social semiotics. He argues that human beings connect to the material world through their five senses, and with that stimuli, we interpret it, and then that forms the meanings that we form there form our social semiotics. So, for example, the color green in some context, and for other people it means nature, it means fresh, but for other people it can mean Islam, it can mean religion. So those are the things that we analyze in here. Okay, so we will present to you one project that my students made in this class.
Okay, thank you, Lorna. So, hello everyone. My name is Neat, and I'm currently a fourth year student at Synchronous University. So today I came here as a representative of my group who did a credible project by using the PDA analysis. So thank you for the honor, and I'm very glad to be here. So I'll be presenting about the background of the issue and the process which we design our materials and the responses that we got from the community. Okay, so the community that we focuses on is our own university, which is Synchronous University. So as we are, students from psychology major, so naturally we are very interested in tackling problem concerning mental health issue. So we went to consult with the university counselor and asked them what is the current issue that our university students are facing. So the answer was that many university students nowadays struggle with stress. So taking that information into consideration, we decided to conduct a survey because we want to know what causes stress for the students. So the result that we got was that 94% of them was because of the too much work, and 22% was because of online class, because during that time it was COVID-19 situation, and 20% was because of the lockdown, and 9% was from like various personal reasons such as financial problems or problems within their family. So we already got the issue, but the problem is that what kind of materials can we design so that we can tackle the problem appropriately. So the first step is that we consult with the experts who are our very own lecturer, because they are psychologists, they are trained psychiatrists. So they consult us with what kind of content should we put out, because mental health issue is still a very sensitive problem, a taboo subject in Thailand. So we want to tackle the problem with sensitivity and cautious. And we also consult with our major lecturer, Ms. Mona here, because she would introduce us some approaches so that we could develop our material with, step by step. So after that, we began to research about the issue and the solution by looking at successful campaigns or material related to mental health and stress, and we choose what kind of material that we would use as the example. And after that, we analyze those successful material by using PDA. I will go into that in a moment. And after that, we began to develop the material based on the PDA results that we have analyzed. And we also make adjustments through peers and expert reviews. So these are done step by step and over again. So here are the example of the material that we choose. So this is a poster about stress and anxiety conducted by Achieve Medical Center in America. So we look at the poster and then we try to see what kind of informations that they put on, or what kind of design they take, so that we can develop our own, adapt it into our own material. So we also did a PDA analysis. So this is just a summary of our analysis because there was so much. So given the time limitation, I'm only presenting a few. For example, we tried to look at the 5 senses that being incorporated into the poster. For example, with the element of sight, we tend to look at the language, like are the language easy to understand, or is the explanations like easy to follow, and are the information useful? And with the element of sound, we try to incorporate with the image, like the image of the man grabbing his hand per se, like it's expressed the feeling of inside screaming, internal problem with stress and anxiety. Unfortunately, there was no indications of smell and taste, but there were about touch, like again, the image of the man grabbing his hand. So the more senses that are being put in the poster, the more it is appeal to the audience, or the audience be able to relate it to the content that we put out. So taking all of that into consideration, we came up with our own 2 materials. So we decided to design a poster to educate and give information, and also like solutions to how people can deal with stress. And we also, if you scan the QR code, it will lead you to a meditation video, which are done by my group member. So we did all this stuff together. And then you would ask me, so how did we incorporate PDA into our own material? So this is just an example. So as you can see, we try to use images which are representing the local. For example, we use Thai university students, the picture of Thai university student, so that they will feel more related to the content. We also use capitalized, heading to attract attentions. And we also incorporate the result from the survey into the content because these are the issue that is relating to them. So we make sure that we include everything that they wanted to know, anything that it would help them. And also we use the contrast between colors to attract the attention and as well to make it more, visually bearable. Yes, so these are some example of our material, and the information here are all based on research and what we consulted with our university psychologists. So we did both the material in English and also in Thai. In English for the Thai student who are EFL learner who want to practice their English, and also for the Thai student. And if like general audience happen to stumble upon a material, so it will be helpful for them as well. Okay. So the platform that we use to spread this material is Facebook, because most of the students at PESU or Prince of Songkhla University, they use Facebook as the mean of communication. So we decided to put it on a public platform. And we also attach a survey so that they could, express what they feel about the material that we put out. Do they like it? Do they dislike it? Or they can provide us constructive criticism as well. So the response that we got was much better than we had anticipated, because so far no one disliked or really disliked our material, and 56% of them found it really they really like it. They found it helpful. 40% like it, and 4% was like we neither like it or dislike it. So far, we hope that it continue to spread awareness about this problem.
And then this is their final output. Their final output is they needed to present their project in the international community, so they need to use English, and they presented it in English. If you want, I can show you the video, but the video is so long. It's a 20-minute video. But yeah, so this is a screenshot of their presentation. And here they presented it, and yeah. So what happened is that in their oral presentation, the features are the way how they use the language is very academic. They use they use a lot of psychology terms in English. Their English is also more structured, and because that is the feature of academic English, and they were able to use the language orally, and they are more they are more confident. So these are the reflections, these are the observations that I did. So the first one is they were able to create multilingual materials that address real life issues. They were able to use English language in tackling psychology related concepts. So it also deepens their understanding in psychology, and they were able to create solutions based on research and evidence, and they were able to use a much structured and academic language in their reporting. And also, they were able to develop their four macro skills. So it's not only speaking and listening, but also they were able to develop their reading because they read research in English. They also need to write something in their poster. In listening, like we had a lot of feedback sessions that they need to deliver, and they need to listen to me in English. And speaking, which is the oral presentation. And ESL allowed them to use the language, English language, in authentic settings, in psychology settings. So not just any other settings. So they were able to realize how the English language can be used in their future professions. They were able to tackle real world problems and provide evidence-based solutions. And also now that they are moving to their final year, they need to conduct research So this is skill that they learned in here. They will be able to use this skill in the research, because in the research they have to do it in English. So they already have a preliminary kind of training in this minor subject. So basically, they were able to use English that is related to their profession, but it's also related to academic to the academic output that they had to have in the final year of their program. So yeah, and these are the references. So thank you so much. Do you have any question?
Thank you very much for that, and well done on the presentation. It's wonderful to see some of this interdisciplinary research being shared. I think it's important that we do bridge some of the gaps that we have between psychology and education in general. So it's wonderful to see presentations like this. Right, let's open up the floor. Anybody have any questions or comments, some input, please? Yes, Laurie.
So I'm wondering, is the poster still up on Facebook?
Neat, you can.
Yes, it is. It still up.
That's great. So wonderful, wonderful project and learning.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, and also like she is my student, and I actually invited her to be my co-presenter here, because that's also one of the ways to encourage them to use the language, and to and they can experience how you can authentically use the language, not just learning the language to take a test or something similar to that.
Really great.
That's a
Really
very
great.
important point, actually.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the time people, teachers, and in certain countries especially, Korea is one of them, where the focus is a lot more on test taking and a lot less on actual fluency or comprehension. So I think it's important that that gets emphasized more.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually in our subject we had a lot of feedback session. So in order for them to get the feedback, they need to speak in English, and they had to like deliver it in English. So we had a lot before they even did the oral presentation. They already had a lot of training beforehand. Yeah. So I think I think that's very valuable to them. Maybe Neat can share more about the experience that they had in this subject. Yeah.
All I know is that I had fun because it's not traditional like way of learning. Like you have to take the test, you have to memorize the lesson. So we like learn it through experience and learn it through doing projects. So it's also helped us building teamwork and leadership skill within the group. So it was a very fun and very educational experience.
I think that's a very good way of doing it. Having it a build up rather than opening the floodgates all at once. To do some of that priming. So there's a level of familiarity. Huh?
Yeah. And another thing, yeah, sure.
Sorry, go on. So I'm wondering, so your psychology majors, so are your classes all in Thai?
Yes, all in Thai mostly.
Okay. So in this class, you're able to bring your learning. So for example, you were looking at stress you identified, but you're able to talk about your other things that you've learned probably in other classes. You're bringing your knowledge and you're using it in English, even though you learned it in Thai.
Yeah. It was a challenge, but that it was a challenge for us because mostly we use Thai like 90% of the time. So in this session, we are be able to be more confident in using the English. Yeah, so it was a very fun and helpful class.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think when I was designing this subject is that most of the scholarship in psychology is in English. So even though their medium of instruction in their psychology subject is Thai, most of the written scholarship are in English. So they need to develop that academic language in order for them to access the knowledge, or else they need to depend only on the local language for them to access the knowledge. So this, like what she said, the content that they put in there is also based on research, and the research that they did is like, it's mostly in English. So they needed that kind of experience. They needed a kind of training as well for them to be able to create their own project. Yes. So yeah. And another thing that I want to say is that in teaching, in using service learning and also teaching about language, we also need to be a teacher of language. We need to know what language is, not just English. Because when I oriented them, the theoretical orientation is based on language, not based on English. Like, this is English, this is the structure of English. No, it's not like that. Like, this is how humans create meanings, and one of which is language. And then this is how language is central to the issues that we are experiencing every day. So this is how language becomes a problem, for example, in accessing information about mental health, because it's mostly in English. It's mostly academic. So we need to recontextualize it so that it's more accessible to the community. So in that way, they need to understand how language works in the society that we live in. So yeah. So this was actually a very exciting class, and I was conducting it. Yeah. Okay.
Very, very good points. And that was a very interesting presentation. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've run out of time. But it speaks well of the presentation that we are able to and still want to engage. If there are any more questions, please pop over to the Discord server and continue the discussion there. I think it's an important one that should happen. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Yeah.
Thank you.